All right. It is good to see everyone tonight. Hope everyone is doing good. Welcome back to another edition of The Kitchen Table. Thank you guys so much for being with me. Hope everyone's doing good. And I've been sitting here reading the comments before we got started. And I just want to say a shout out to everyone who's been in the waiting room. It's pretty cool now. We've developed a waiting room, and so we have people sitting outside waiting for the show to start. That's pretty cool. That's not happened to me in years. So that's awesome. I'm really glad you guys are here, and look forward to this show. And what we do, for those of you that have never tuned into one of these are really loose and really fun. We don't. They're extremely loose and extremely fun. I said here I try to follow the comments best I can. If I miss you, it's not on purpose. It's just because they're going by so fast. We'll play some songs. We'll talk about the crazy world that's going on around us, and just get through the night. It's like 10 degrees here in the Cumberland Gap where I'm at in Tennessee. So I hope you guys are warmer than I am. My internet's been just a little bit sketchy today because of the weather. I haven't left the house since Monday, so I'm kind of starting to get a little bit like Jack Nicholson on The Shining. It's like it's starting to get a little bit. I'm really wishing I could get out, and I'm not really that big of a outgoing kind of person. I prefer to just stay home. And I really enjoyed it for the first couple of days. The first couple of days being snowed in was awesome because where I live, the road that I live on is pretty, it can get pretty treacherous in places. It's not too bad. I could get out of it easier than I could get in, if that makes any sense. Where I'm at, it's kind of uphill and some winding curves. I could slide my way to the bottom of it, but getting back in might be a bit of a challenge. So it's been a long week. The first couple of days was cool because nobody could get to me, nobody could mess with me, nobody could ask me to do anything. I just stayed home and made videos, made content, and sat around watching TV. I started watching the show Longmire just for the hell of it. That's how bored I got. Now, it's a great show for those of you that ain't seen it. I've had people talk about it for years. And I watched the first episode. I'm really bad to do this. I'll watch the first episode of a show like 2 or 3 times, and sometimes it won't really hook me, and then eventually all of a sudden I'll go, hey, this ain't too bad. So that's kind of how it was with Longmire. That might have been my 3rd attempt at starting the show, and then once I did, the ball got rolling. I was like, wow, this is actually pretty good. And so I'm probably like 4 or 5 episodes in now, and really enjoying it. But that's pretty much where I'm at. It's like I said, it's definitely been a long week. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys for hitting that tip jar. I really appreciate it. Always remember you don't have to do that, but I appreciate it when you do. And man, I'm seeing people from all over the place. So hello to Massachusetts. I saw Nevada in here a while ago. There's all kind of, hello from Puerto Rico. That's really cool. Birmingham, awesome. Really glad you guys are here, man. It's always, like I said, it's always a lot of fun, and I ended up staying in all week. Hope everyone is staying good and warm because it is cold. It's 10 degrees here, and we've been making it though. We got Mrs. Texas Paul in here. That's awesome. Idaho, Austin, Texas, South Carolina, Cincinnati. It's really awesome. Nova Scotia. I love seeing you guys roll in. I started doing these kind of shows back during the pandemic. It's the first time I ever sat down here at the table to do a show like this. And at the time, all the gigs dried up. It was one of those things where, March of 2020 rolled around and all the places in Tennessee and Kentucky that I played at just started closing down right and left. Well, because the states did. And when that happened, us musicians, we had to find a way to get creative. We had to find a way to do things and make some money and still keep our name out there and keep ourselves afloat. And I noticed people starting to do these kind of live streams, and I thought, well, that'd be kind of weird because it is at first. When you first do it as a musician, you sit there and play music into your phone. It's a completely different experience than it is playing it to a live audience, because when you play to a live audience, you've got that feedback from them coming back at you, and you learn how to read the room. I spent over 20 years of my life learning how to read the room and figure out what everybody was feeling. I never went off a set list, and I still don't. Like right here, what we're doing, I don't have nothing mapped out. I don't have nothing prepared. If I was to prepare something, it would be an absolute disaster, and so I don't even try. I always just tried to read the room, and that's how I would play my shows. And then when I started doing these kind of shows, it was really hard at first because one of the biggest problems was I wanted to read the comments and try to think of the words to my songs. And so if I zone out at any point, and while I'm singing here in a little bit, it's simply because it's impossible for me to read those words and sing at the same time. It's kind of like the distractions I used to have in the bar. Back when I was playing those places, if I ever forgot the words, which was rare, someone would say, "What made you forget that? The words to that? You've sang that 1,000 times." I'm like, "Well, some dude over here just threw a beer bottle," or you know what I mean? It's like it would just be something caught my attention and would take me out of the song for a few minutes. But we started doing these into the phone, and it started picking up some steam, and we started calling it Live at the Kitchen Table, and that went on for a while, and we was all in because of the pandemic. And then as time went on, thanks to Emily for the tip. I really appreciate that. As time went on, I noticed that we started getting back out and playing again. The gigs started coming back a little bit, and we started getting back out there and going. And by that point, I kind of missed doing these kind of things because I had caught on to it and I had learned how to do it, and it was fun. And so I decided to just keep doing them. And then we started doing the one thing that a musician in East Tennessee is never supposed to do. And I promise you, if you're a musician in East Tennessee, the one thing you will get told on a daily basis is don't ever talk politics, don't ever talk religion, just shut up and sing. That's what they all said to me. And I don't know, after about 20 years of sitting there and singing Take It Easy to them, I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm going to start talking about things. And I did, and it blew up, and here we are. And we went from having 15 to 20 people watching me at the kitchen table to 310. So it's good to be here with you guys. It really is. It's been a long, hard ride, no pun intended. But yeah, the Buddha's with me. By the way, I forgot about that. We'll introduce him. The Buddha's here. I just set him down because I've got my laptop here so I can read your guys' comments better, and I had set him out of my way just for a minute. But for those of you that are new to the table and haven't heard the story, this Buddha's been at every kitchen table show that I've did, and he was gave to me by a really good friend of mine. I was over at her house one night back in probably like 2017, and we were just sitting out back partaking in some really good herb and around a little campfire. Got a little bit cold later, and we decided to go inside. But we went inside. I was feeling really good and walked inside, and so there sat this little Buddha on her dresser, and I looked at it and I started laughing. I don't know, just something about his face. He looked so happy, and he was just smiling away at me, and I got cracked up about it. So I picked him up and I started looking at him, and I'm holding him like this, and I'm just laughing away. And my friend's like, "Why are you laughing at my Buddha for?" I said, "Because he looks happy." She said, "Well, the Buddha is happy, and he wants you to be happy." I was like, "Oh yeah?" She said, "Yeah." So the next morning when I got up and got ready to leave, well, actually, I said to her at one point, I said, I've just never seen Jesus ever smile that big. I was like, we got pictures of Jesus all over the house. He always looks kind of stoic and kind of sad at times, but I said, he's never laughing like that. And so the next morning when I got up and got ready to leave, she said to me, she said, "Take this Buddha with you." I was like, "Well, I don't want to do that. You've had him for a long time." She's like, "I know." She's like, "But last night, that's the most I've ever saw you laugh, and so I think you need him more than I do." And so I took him with me, and got him. Let me adjust this just a tad. It's messing with me for some reason. Sorry about that. So she brings him. I take him with me, and then it kind of got me wanting to start back into reading Buddhism again. I got back into it again, and decided to start studying it a little bit deeper. And when I did, I found a couple of really good podcasts. One was called Secular Buddhism with Noah Rasheda. I highly recommend that one. But yeah, that's kind of what got me rolling on this with this laughing Buddha. So we'll just kick off the show since someone asked me to bring out the Buddha. Here he is. That's the story behind him. And we'll do the tune, The Laughing Buddha. This one's on my new album, Shots of Truth Volume 2, which is available right now on Bandcamp. And so be sure to check that out. Buddha sat on her dresser with a Jimmy Carter smile. She said to rub his belly for good luck. You're gonna need it for a while. Come to think, when I've seen Buddha, he's got a glassy-eyed grin. Unlike the guy from my raising, he was always dying for sin. Jesus sat on the mantle. He had such a stoic face. He looked miserable above the altar and strung out at Grandma's place. And even knocking on my door, he had a sad look in his eye. Kinda got me thinking maybe I've been talking to the wrong guy. Well, I've done unto others, they nearly done me in. I turned the other cheek and they tried to cave it in. And I laid down my life for people who would not go a mile for me. So Jesus, if you're listening, I hope somehow you see. I can't carry the cross no longer, I can't live with nail scarred hands. And I can't die for people who don't care to understand. And it is not my place to bear the sword in vain. I gotta be the laughing Buddha before I go insane. I'm no savior, I'm no healer, I don't have the answers yet. I'm not a preacher, I'm no teacher, I'm just a poet with a pen. And I ain't gonna let them string me up just to serve as their own fate. So when they ask you how they lost control, you can tell them that I'm away. And I've done unto others, they nearly done me in. I turned the other cheek and they tried to cave it in. And I laid down my life for people who would not go a mile for me. So Jesus, if you're listening, I hope somehow you see. I can't carry the cross no longer, I can't live with nail-scarred hands. And I can't die for people who don't care to understand. And it is not my place to bear the sword in vain. I gotta be the laughing Buddha before I go insane. I better be the laughing Buddha or I just might go insane. All right, thank y'all so much. Thank you, Martha. I really appreciate that. And thanks to everybody that's here hanging out with us live at the table. If you just tuned in, I'm Tennessee Brando. If you just stumbled across this by accident, here we are. We're just sitting here at the table singing songs, talking about the world around us. Thank you to RC from New York. Really appreciate it. I also want to say thanks to all the members, my YouTube members that are in the house, and really appreciate you guys. If you guys have not checked out the memberships yet, be sure to do so. Just click on the link there, and it'll take you over. If you hit the join button, you'll see the different tiers we have and the different perks that come along with being a member. So you guys be sure to check that out. It's a really cool thing. I do a lot of members only content on there, and I do a thing called Members Only Monday, which to the members, I completely forgot this past Monday. I have no excuse. Now I have been busy, and it did start to snow, so that's somewhat of an excuse. But what's funny, I was sitting here after I got snowed in, and I was snowed in until about yesterday or Thursday. I was sitting there around Thursday, and I was like, well, I could do a Members Only Monday. And then I was like, shit, wait, today ain't Monday. I was all out of sorts. That's because I've been snowed in for so long. And I realized that I hadn't done a Members Only Monday post this past Monday, which was Martin Luther King Day. I would have had a great thing to talk about and a great thing to do. I'm sure I sat around that day making content and thinking of things we could talk about. And then, lo and behold, I completely dropped the ball on that one. That was my fault. But thank you so much, and thank you to the person who just gifted some memberships. That one rolled by so fast I didn't catch it, but thank you for doing that. Y'all check it out, try it out. If you like it, stick around. If you can afford it, I understand times are tough, and I'm not out here. I'm not a billionaire trying to grift you out of your money, okay? But if you like what I do and you think it's worth a few bucks, you can go check out the memberships and stuff, and we have a fun time with it. What is blocked by my guitar? Before, I had the Buddha sitting on this side, and there was a guitar player watching, and I had the Buddha sitting like over here. And so I'm playing like this, and he can't see the chords. So that's why I moved the Buddha. That's why. But yeah. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, I am in East Tennessee. I am right on the tri-state of Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia. If I walked out my door and drove down the road in like 7 minutes, I could be in Virginia, and in about 10 minutes I could be in Kentucky. So that's right where I'm at. It's funny. All three states feels like home to me. I was born over here on the Tennessee side, grew up over on the Kentucky side, moved back over here, and we just got this funny thing we do around where I live. We do our grocery shopping in Kentucky, we buy our beer in Virginia, and we do everything else in Tennessee. So that's kind of how it's always been around here. But Yeah, well, hello to Colorado, and I tell you what, that's kind of a good segue into the song I was going to eventually play. You don't have to apologize for Lauren Boebert. That's not your fault. I mean, I could never give anybody in Colorado too hard of a time about Lauren Boebert because we have Bill Lee for a governor. We have Marsha Blackburn, who Gloria Johnson's running against, and you guys better really get on board and get Gloria in there. But we got Bill Lee, we got Marsha Blackburn, we got Tim Burchett, okay, which is like a dollar store general version of Trump. You know, he tries to be MAGA and talks to his nose like this. But and then we got Kane, the WWE guy. We got for a mayor, which I loved him on the WWE. I'm a big wrestling fan. I loved the character of Kane. I loved that storyline. But yeah, politically, no. But anyway, thank you, Judy, for that. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I could never give too hard of a time over who they have in their state. I can't give people too hard of a time down in Georgia. They got Marjorie Taylor Greene. You guys got Lauren Boebert out in Colorado, and so we have our own brand of MAGA stupidity here too. But I did a video and posted it today talking about Lauren Boebert, and I was talking about how that, she went out to District 4. She's moving districts because she realized she was going to lose. At the end of the day, that's what happened. She realized she was about to get her ass handed to her, and she didn't want that to happen, so she decided to move to a more conservative district, thinking that she could hold on to her seat, which she may. I don't know about that, but she goes out there, and when she's talking to the voters of District 4, she decides to make a joke about what she did at the theater, and she starts off kind of going something to the nature of, well, you guys know who I am, you don't have to ask, unlike the ushers at the Buell Theater. And the reason why that struck such a bad chord with me is because that's something comedians do. When comedians screw up or do something really stupid, they'll turn it into a comedic bit, and we just come to expect it from them. I mean, if you go all the way back to Richard Pryor, when Richard Pryor, lit himself on fire by accident while he was freebasing, he turned that into a bit. People laughed at it, and Louis C.K. did what he did, and then he turned that into a bit, and that happens all the time. And then the comedian will come out at their next special, and they'll crack a joke, and they'll try to move on through it. But politicians, when I was growing up, they seemed to be held to a higher standard back then. I remember when George H.W. Bush just looked at his watch too many times during the debates with Clinton, and they said that's what lost him the entire presidency. And then Dan Quayle, his vice president, tried to tell a kid to put an E on the end of potato, and they laughed him completely out of the room. I mean, they made that guy a laughing stock for that. And look at all the things just Lauren Boebert by herself has done. I mean, she's had the law called on her family so many times. I'm not trying to cast stones at her either. I'm just saying she's the morals and values girl who has the police called on her all the time. Her husband exposes himself to a young girl at a bowling alley, and her comeback for that was, well, she was asking for it. And they've had then they had the theater moment. She's out with a boyfriend. She's groping him in a theater. And the thing about this is, I'm just a YouTube dude. Okay, I'm just a random guy on YouTube talking into his phone. Okay, and I get noticed now when I go places. All right, I go out somewhere. Hey, you're Tennessee Brando. If I wear the bandana, if I want to be noticed, and if I take it off, a lot of times they won't notice me, but I still have had a few people pick me out anyway. But I walk down the street, hey, you're Tennessee Brando. I've went all over the country, hey, you're Tennessee Brando. So I realize that, hey, there's people watching what I do. And this woman is a congresswoman. She's out there. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. She's out there, a congresswoman, in a movie theater. Doesn't she know they got cameras? Doesn't she realize she's being watched? And doesn't she realize that people hold her to a certain standard? And so that's what's always been so baffling to me, is how that they can just continue to give her a pass for it when they crucified people in the past for way simpler things. Howard Dean was at a rally, the Democrat that was running in 2004. He was at a rally, his crowd was excited. He was like, we're going to take New Hampshire, and he screams at his crowd who was enthusiastic. And they said he was unpresidential, he lacked the temperament. But yet Lauren Boebert can continue to do all this shit, and they just keep voting for her. And it's the most ridiculous thing that I've about ever seen. It's like, comedians, yeah, they make a mistake and they go out and make a bit out of it. A politician should be held to a higher standard because they're making decisions based on our lives. They're gonna make decisions that's going to affect us personally, and they need to be held to a higher standard, and they need to take stuff seriously. And I've always I've just always felt that way about it. So we're going to segue now into this tune I wrote about her back last year. And thank you to Anna for the tip. Thanks for everyone for hanging out. I really appreciate you guys so much. This is always a lot of fun. But I wrote this tune about Lauren Boebert back last year. If you ain't never heard it, here it goes. I started to make it like a slow country waltz. Actually, that's how I wrote it. It was like a real slow country waltz. And then I saw her getting kicked out of the theater, and just the way she was walking with that little sassy, Banny Rooster walk that she does, I was just like, I need to rock this song up a little bit, because I pictured all the years when I would play in the dive bars and some girl would get a little too drunk to be in there, or some dude, and they would get escorted out in that little, just Banny Rooster walk they do on their way to the door. I thought, I need to pick up the tempo on this one, and so I literally watched the video of her walking out of that theater, being escorted out, and the way she was acting, and I just started going. I was like, there it is. So here we go. Bobo's a new kind of clown, a pretty little talking head. The country boys love to stare her down. Yeah, Bobo's a new kind of clown. They put her in tight jeans and a gun on her hip, long curly brown hair and ruby red lips. Her only agenda is on in the libs. Is she really just that dumb, or is she reading the script? Yeah, Bobo's a new kind of clown, a poor man Sarah Palin, and that's sad, throwing dumb one-liners around. Yeah, Bobo's a new kind of clown. Preaches family values while hers goes off the rails. Tries to praise the good Lord, but too busy raising hell. Now I ain't passing judgment, I know that divorce is tough, but her own words, I guess she didn't chase Jesus enough. Yeah, Bobo's a new kind of clown. She always has a handy for everyone. There's not one shred of class to be found. Yeah, Bobo's a new kind of clown. Yeah, Bobo's a new kind of clown. All right, thank y'all so much. A lot of times when I'm playing out with the band, we have this little joke. I've done this for years. It's like it's sometimes the band is all fighting to see who gets the last note in. So it'll be like, and then somebody will go, and somebody else will go. It's like everybody's trying to get the last lick in, and I almost did that even though there was no band behind me. But yeah, thank you guys so much, man. It's a lot of fun. We were 450 people, 456, 453. My phone says 455, and my laptop says 457, so we'll see. It's jumping around, but I really appreciate it. It's awesome to have you guys here in the house with us. It's always a lot of fun, and thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. But yeah, we're having a good one, and it's going well so far. I think 457. That's awesome. We've really been growing here on the channel too, and I want to thank you guys so much. And Vol Queen, thanks for reminding me. I do need to remind the people to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and be sure to hit the little notification bell. Be sure to hit that, and that way you get notified every time that I go live or every time I post a video. You'll be the first to know it. So be sure to check that out. was trying to follow some of the comments that was going by. A couple was catching my eye, but sometimes they go by so fast that it's impossible. But I tell you what, we did do. We crossed over 48,000 subscribers, and I think the last show we did, which was January 6th, we had just hit 40,000, so we've gained 8,000 in 2 weeks, and that's amazing. I really appreciate you guys for sharing it, getting the word out there. So just keep doing that, and we'll keep growing, and I'm sure we'll hit 50,000 by 2 weeks from now. Now, 2 weeks from now, I won't be going live. I've been doing these every 2 weeks. Well, I will be. It's just that I won't be doing it here at the table. 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks from tonight, actually. February 3rd, I will be at Wayne Stock at the Relics Variety Theater in Knoxville, Tennessee. Me and the band will be playing there, and we're going to go live during the set at Wayne Stock. So for those of you that can't make it out to Knoxville, Tennessee to catch that show, you can still catch it right here. We won't be at the table. We'll be live in Knoxville with the band, and I'm looking forward to it. Me and the band hasn't played in over a year, and so I'm really excited to be back out there doing that again. The last time we played, we opened for the Great Laid Back Country Picker. And this time we're playing Wayne Stock, and it's one of my favorite events in Knoxville, Tennessee. I know we got people from all over the world sitting here watching, and I know some of you ain't going to be able to come from Australia to Knoxville, Tennessee. But Wayne Stock is a really good event. It started 12 years ago. Our good buddy, great friend, Wayne Bledsoe, he's a Knoxville music journalist, has been for years. And he's a great friend to all of us and to the music community, and he's written so many articles over the years as a journalist to help put our music out there and promote it. And he's really helped so many people grow their following, and not just that, not just grow their audience, but he's also a really good friend to have to pick his brain, and he's just full of so much knowledge to help a musician along, and he's just a real champion of the music community in Knoxville. And so back 12 years ago, he lost his wife and his son, both really close together and both unexpectedly. And when that happened, the musicians of Knoxville got together and decided to raise money to help him out and help his family out. And Wayne, being the kind of guy he is, the following year he just decided to have it again. They called the show Wayne Stock. He decided to have Wayne Stock 2, and now we're all the way up to Wayne Stock 12. And so I'm really honored to be part of it. I found a poster. I wished I had it laid next to me. I found a poster from when I played it. Wayne Stock 5 or 6. I can't remember. I've played it 3 times. This is my 3rd time playing it. But I don't remember if it was 5 or 6, then it might have been I played it in 2018. I played it in 2014, I think. 13 or 14, I don't remember. It was one of those years I played 13 or 14, and then I played 18, and now I'm playing in 24. So it's going to be good. But really appreciate you guys, and we'll be going live here 2 weeks from tonight. That will be at 8 o'clock too. That'll be 8 o'clock Eastern time, because that's what time our set is, and we're going on right before the great Cruz Contreras from the Black Lilies. Now, a lot of people have been asking about tickets and if they're on sale online. They're available at the door, and so you guys can just come, and they're available at the door. Also, like I said, we'll be right here live, so those of you that are far away that always tunes in, you'll still be able to see it, and you'll get to see me bust out a little electric guitar. I'm looking forward to doing that. I haven't done that in a while with the band, and I miss it. I really miss the electric guitar moments. I've always had fun with that. Now, on the last show, I showed you guys this, and I've showed this to the members only. But back last year, right before Christmas, somewhere through there, I was walking around in a pawn shop, and there's a pretty cool story behind this. But I was walking around in a pawn shop, and I stumbled across this custom-built guitar. Check this thing out. This thing is super, super badass. It plays like a dream. Someone custom-built this. It doesn't have a drop of text on it nowhere. There's no writing, so I'm looking at it going, well, what kind of guitar is this? Now, it's shaped like a Fender Telecaster, and I'm saying to myself, well, hell, let's see what this thing's about. So I pick it up and start playing it, and I fell in love with it. They only had it priced for $249. I walked out of there with it for $200. Then I took it and got it worked on. The great Steve Novelli out of Knoxville, he's your guitar whiz guru that can make these sound like, Clapton would play it. I mean, he can really, really get them dialed in just right. He got this thing dialed in for me, and it plays and sounds amazing. So I wish I had my amplifier in here. I'd crank it up for you. But I will be cranking it up at Wayne Stock. You be sure to tune it out, but or tune into that. But it's probably sit there when I tune a little bit, but it's got a really, really good tone, plays really good. And what's so cool about this guitar to me, the reason why that I was so glad I stumbled across it, is because the place I bought it at, the pawn shop that I bought it at, used to be a bar called the Mustang Lounge in Tazewell, Tennessee. And I played the Mustang Lounge for about 5 years straight, on and off. And then we were the house band there from like 2011 through 2012. And it was just a place where I paid a lot of dues as a musician and worked really hard. And I was really close friends with the owner. And with, so many of the people that went there and hung out. It was just it was the biggest bar in the smallest town, so everybody went to it and everybody knew everybody's business. And if you did something crazy and stupid, your mama and your mom would find out about it. It was that kind of place. And so back in 2020, I played it from 2008 through 12. And then I went back in 14. I went back again in like 17 and 18. I recorded the Cumberland Gap music video in there. If you ever get a chance to check out the video, it's the Cumberland Gap. It's listed under Brandon Fulson. It's here on YouTube, which I'm thinking about maybe doing a re-upload of that one now that we got a bigger following, but or a re-release. But I recorded that video in the Mustang Lounge, and you can see, you can kind of get an idea of how the place looked, and there's a glimpse of me sitting with the owner having a beer at the bar. So I was able to capture its memory in that video. But then I played it in 19, and I was going to play it in 20, and then the pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit, that pretty much closed the place down. And when that closed the place down, the owner, he had been struggling with dementia, and he ended up passing away in 2022. So that really got to me. That really sucked. And I always knew that when I went to the pawn shop and walked in, I was like, I'm really going to, it's going to be different. It's going to be wild to walk into this place as a pawn shop, because the way the place was made, it's hard to explain if you've never been there. I won't bore you with the details, but basically, when they went in to make the pawn shop, they just absolutely demolished everything that once was the Mustang. So you had a hallway that went down to the main door. You had a stage. You had a bar. You had seating areas, tables, booths. I mean, they just went in there and cleared all that out and just made one big empty room. And it's a badass pawn shop with some really good shit. It's called Shylock's Pawn now. I was really happy to see that they took the old Mustang Lounge sign down off the top of the building and put it in right above the guitars. So I just kind of said to myself, I said, when the time comes, I'm going to, when that place has a grand opening, I'm going to buy something out of it, And I'd always wanted like my own guitar that no one else had, like a custom built guitar that I could set and modify and turn it into my own thing. So I went over there to the grand opening, and it was kind of emotional to me to see it like that. But I thought they did it justice, and I was happy with the place. And then I didn't find anything that day, and I thought, well, I'll just keep going back till one day I'll buy a piece of equipment out of there, And I went back over there, and this guitar was just hanging there. And what's so interesting about it to me, what kind of resonated with me, was that back before they demolished the inside of the Mustang, it had these wooden walls that looked like this. So it was just kind of like, to me it was like, well, shit, it kind of looks like the Mustang. So I was like, I could take this guitar and I can start kind of adding a little bit. I ordered a custom print bandana pick guard to go here. I figure I'll get me a little Tennessee flag and put it here, and we can call it the Brando caster. So yeah, it plays really good. And I'm more of I may have a country twang to my voice, but when I finally get a chance to rip on this, I always kind of go blues guitar with it. I can't help it. I never could play country guitar. I love country singing, but I just never really could do that real fast country chicken picking that so many people are great at. I suck at that. And so I always kind of leaned in on more of the blues players as I was learning how to play, and that's kind of, I had one guy one time walk up to me and go, man, you're kind of a country singer with a blues guitar player and style. And I was like, well, at least somebody caught it. So I really appreciate it. And thank you so much to the person who just gifted the 10 memberships. I really appreciate you guys so much for doing that. It definitely helps to draw people in and give them a chance to see what it is we do here on the channel. And, it's just a really, really good time here. It always is. We always have a good time sitting here, so I appreciate you guys gifting the memberships. You guys that got the gifts, just be sure to check it out, see what you think about it. Check out the tiers and see what you think. And if you want to stick around, we'd love to have you. And if you can't stick around I understand that the times are tough. So we'll just keep moving forward. And, it's an election year, and I can sing too. It's funny. It's funny when you say that, because I've been a musician for like 25, 26. It's my 26th year, I think. It's hard to believe. I started maybe 27. Hell, I don't know. I started playing guitar like in my early teens, and then I formed my first garage band when I was 17 years old. That was 1997, and I played in the garage with my buddies for about 2 years, and then we went out and played our first gig in '99. And played my first bar gig in 1999. I was 19 years old. I wasn't even old enough to be in the place, but got in there because a couple of the band members was older than me, and they vouched for me. And a lot of times I didn't even get carded in those kind of places, but every once in a while somebody would, and then some Einstein would go put me some moonshine in a water bottle, and that never ended well. But thank you so much to Paul for that tip. I really appreciate it. But what's funny, then I started doing these kind of political social commentary videos. They caught on. They blew up. And I take things for granted a lot of times. I forget that there's people that have discovered me doing that have never heard me sing a note, never knew I wrote a song, never knew I played in a band. And I have to be reminded to go, yeah, I do that too. So it's been an interesting ride for me. I never used the word journey. I don't know why. It's just one of those words a lot of people use, and I never did. I was always more of a buy the ticket, take the ride. That's a Gonzo tattoo there from Hunter S. Thompson. And I was always more into just that concept of buy the ticket, take the ride, and go out there and live your songs as you wrote them. I always believed in just, whatever was going on, write about it in your life. And if you had whatever personal experiences and battles you fought, it just turned into songs. So I did that for a long time. And then one day, I started doing this political commentary style videos where I just sat and talked, and they started catching on with people. And then for the longest time, I was trying to figure out how to marry the two together. It was like, okay, I got these serious songs over here that I wrote about things, a whole lot of serious music, and some dark comedy. There was definitely dark comedy mixed in with my music too. But I was like, I've got this serious style of like outlaw country, Americana country. I hate labels. I don't know what to call it. It don't sound like Jason Aldean, I'll just tell you that. It's more of like a kind of an underground sound when I do it. And, I just started saying to myself, well, how will I ever bring these two things together to where people realizes that I play music too? And then I was actually talking with Texas Paul. Miss Texas Paul's in the house tonight. I was actually talking to Texas Paul on the phone. And I think I might have I had written a song, and he really liked it and heard about it. And maybe one of these days we could talk about that song. But he said, dude, you need to write more songs about this stuff that's going on. He said, that's the way you do it. And I was like, yeah, I've been trying to figure out how to go about it. And he said something that just kind of struck a chord with me. He's like, brother, it's just yours for the taking. Just reach out and grab it. Just reach out and get it. And I was like, yeah, it makes sense. And so I just started, anytime I saw something on TV that, just kind of, or the news that made me just scratch my head and say, what the hell? Then I would end up writing a song about it, and they started catching on that way. So the political satire began to really catch on, and I did some videos talking about satire and what it means to me, and I've always said that, the definition of satire, it's the use of humor, irony, and exaggeration to expose the stupidity of someone's beliefs. And that's kind of the style that I started going down and the way that I started writing them. And so that's what I did all last year, and they just kept catching on one right after another. And I cranked out 2 albums last year, Shots of Truth Volume 1 and Volume 2. Now, Volume 1's up on all the music platforms. I still haven't got Volume 2 up on all of them. Volume 2 is available on the app called Bandcamp. It's a really cool app if you've never checked it out. It's just like that one time at Bandcamp. Go check out bandcamp.com, look up Tennessee Brando, and you can find Shots of Truth Volume 1 and 2. They're the political satirical tunes. I managed to find ways to work some serious moments in there because there was a lot to talk about. There really was, and I found ways to work in the serious nature of it too. That's some of my favorite music from way back in the day. I loved how a lot of bands back then They would have a really funny song, then they would have a really dark, kind of depressing song, and then they would have a song that made no sense whatsoever. And it just would always flow with the album. And I think that's the best kind of music, is when it just captures a moment in time. My good friend John Baker always said that an album is a snapshot in time. You're just taking a Polaroid, basically, of that particular time. So thanks to my guy for the tip. I really appreciate it. And when you make an album, it's just a snapshot. So when people go back years from now and they look at those albums that I made, they're just going to remember this time in history and how messed up it was. They're going to remember, I remember when Laura Boebert did that. So that's kind of what it is. And that's how I ended up marrying the two things together. It took me a while to be able to get those two things to hook up and line up. But once I married the political commentary with the satirical political tunes, it was easy. And the thing about it is, I've had so many people message me over certain things I've said in the songs, and I'm like, it's satire. Go back and listen to that definition one more time. It's the use of humor, irony, and exaggeration. So there is times that I may exaggerate. There is times that I may go overboard in trying to make people laugh. But I really believe that if you can get people to laugh first, you can make them think. And I had that philosophy back in those bar days when I was talking about the guitar earlier. I had that philosophy back in those bar days when I was playing in places like the Mustang Lounge. I flipped the script back then and started writing about the people in the audience. Because back then, if I said, here's a really serious, heartfelt song I wrote last night, and I want you guys to really stop and think about this, nobody in a place like that was going to do that. They was going to go to the bar and go to the bathroom, and the dance floor would empty out until I played something they recognized. So I just started going, hey, you remember that guy got bounced out on his head last week? Well, I wrote a song. I'm going to send this one out to the bouncers. And then boom. Well, that stuff started catching on. I just started playing to the audience in front of me. Now, I kind of took that same concept, that same philosophy, and just adapted it to this. When I was sitting here, I was like, okay. Right before I started doing this, I was still playing gigs, still doing things. A lot of times I'd be playing out in places where the crowd was talking so loud I couldn't hear myself sing. They weren't paying attention to me, and 90% of them was staring at their phone. And I remember saying to myself, okay, well, if they're going to stare at their phone, I'm going to get in their phone and I'm going to talk to them, and I'm going to talk to them about things that's important. And I'm going to piss them off, and I'm going to make them think, and I'm going to go about it that way. And that's the whole way that this all got started. It was me. I remember the very last show I did in a dive bar where I was sitting there playing an acoustic guitar with my buddy playing some electric. The crowd was talking so loud I couldn't hear myself think. I could have played anything. I could have told them. I could have sat there and wrote a song on that bar stool about how bad the bar sucked, and nobody would have got it. You know what I mean? Thank you so much for that, Vol Queen. I really appreciate it. That's where I'm going. I'm about to segue right into that tune. So you got perfect timing. But I just remember sitting on that bar stool and these people talking, and I was like, you know what? Screw this. They're all looking at their phones and ain't paying attention to me. I'm going to get in their damn phone and talk to them. And so that's what I did, and that's where we're at. And I hadn't written a song in a while. I'd kind of slacked after making 2 albums. I was like, damn, I've really wrote a lot of songs here. I think there was 17 on one album and 15 on another, so it was like 32 songs. Plus I wrote the Midas Mighty theme song that year. I have so many people still ask me if that's me singing the Midas Mighty theme song. Yes, it is. And I'll probably play that tune for you here in a little bit. But, so I cranked out like 33 or 34 songs that year. Just crazy. And the news is breaking so quick and so fast that it's impossible to keep up with it all. Well, thank you, Emily. I really appreciate you hitting the tip jar. Emily's one of my favorite TikTokers. I stumbled across her videos a while back, and it's so good when you bump into like-minded people that's not afraid to stand up and speak out and give it back to them. So thank you for being here. And but I hadn't written a song in a while. And my mom told me something years ago. She said, you better be careful when you write a song, because you never know. That song that you wrote could be someone's very first introduction to you. They've never heard of you before in their lives, and they're going to hear that and go, who in the hell is singing that? That definitely applies to this tune. This is that tune where if this is the first thing you ever heard me do and you're still sitting here, then yeah, you're a fan. But I saw a link that the Midas Touch Network shared about how that apparently Donald Trump has terrible body odor, and there's a lot of people that are starting to come forward and say that. And I cannot remember the guy's name. Some of you may have saw that clip. I cannot remember his name. Adam something. But anyway, he was talking about how bad that Trump, smelled bad. And then I saw a video of James Carville. And James Carville was a political analyst back in the day. He was also the political strategist for campaign strategist for Bill Clinton. And I always liked Carville, but I hadn't heard anything from him in years. And I saw a video he was doing called How to Mock Trump. And he talked about satire and the use of satire. And he referenced Mel Brooks. And he referenced the movie Animal House. And he was like, we threw everything we can at Trump supporters and Donald Trump. We've hit them with facts. We've hit them with evidence. We've hit them with science. We've hit them with data and research. And nothing we do sticks. Nothing we do will ever get through to them. So he said, maybe it's time that we just ruthlessly mock them at all turns. Because the one thing Donald Trump cannot stand is to be called a loser. So if we always start off going, failed former President Donald Trump. Here's Donald Trump, guy got his ass handed to him in the 2020 election. If we'll start off that way, it's gonna make noise. And the thing about it is, you got to understand these MAGA Republicans. They're reacting to theater. They're reacting to rage. They're reacting to cruelty. They're like people at a WWE event that are just sitting there watching the show, and you can tell them all day long that it's not a real fight, but they're not gonna listen to you. They're so caught up in it and so engrossed in it. And they're going to cheer for the bad guy that breaks the rules and just, stomps some innocent dude. If you remember back in the day, if you guys watched it back 30 years ago, you had guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin come out. In any other era, he would have been a bad guy. But in that era, people loved to see him beat the boss up. Well, these good guy wrestlers would come out and start telling him what a bad guy he was and how he broke the rules. Nobody cared because the more he broke the rules, the more popular he got. And then finally, The Rock comes along. And The Rock's the first person that ever gave it back to Stone Cold and said, hey, listen, you piece of trailer park trash, I'm going to lay the smack down on your candy ass. And I remember bursting out laughing going, oh, wow, he actually gave it back to him. And I just think that's the point. I'm kind of with Carville on this, but it's like, that's the point that we need to get to. Just give it back because that's all they understand. It's probably the only thing that's ever going to make them stop and pause for a second because they're just going to double down anytime you come at them with facts and evidence. And so... listening to Carville say that, it made a lot of sense, and I thought about all the satirical tunes that I'd written with that very intention of just mocking it, of just using humor, irony, and exaggeration to ridicule their beliefs. And so I wrote this tune, and yeah, it's called Downwind of Donnie. See how many of you sticks around. Downwind of Donnie, there's a hell of a stench, smelling like ketchup and rotten armpits. From the sound of his diaper, he done took a shit. Downwind of Donnie, there's a hell of a stench. He claims to weigh in at 215, yet he's the biggest slob that we ever have seen. Says he's a perfect specimen, he never gets sick. It's been 20 years and he still ain't seen his dick. Yet downwind of Donnie, there's a hell of a stench, smelling like ketchup and rotten armpits. From the sound of his diaper, he done took a shit. Downwind of Donnie, there's a hell of a stench. Yet downwind of Donnie. This is the part where I start coughing and throw my pick at the phone, but I won't throw my pick at you guys. Thank you all so much, and I sometimes wonder how that one would have went over on a Saturday night at the Mustang Lounge. Some rednecks would have probably really got pissed, but we're definitely in a place now where we can do it and get away with it. So thank you guys so much for being here. I actually wrote that one and didn't even bother writing the words down. I was like, I got this. I could definitely remember this train wreck. And so, yeah. But, again, thank you guys, man, so much for being with me. It's always fun when you guys are here and we're hanging out at the table. And we'll see how the show goes. I really appreciate it. I think Jesselyn might have had to stop out. She's my bouncer, or as we call it on YouTube, the admin. They should might have to step out for a minute, but it's so comical to me because back in the day it was like if you had a redneck get too much alcohol and get out of hand, you hollered at the bouncer and said, "Hey, we got a problem over there." And now we got admins who takes care of the trolls, but I haven't been paying attention to see if any's popped up. But Jesselyn usually bounces them out on her head when they do. So yeah, that's how that goes. But we'll just keep the ball rolling for a while. I really appreciate you guys tuning in, man. We made it to 565 people watching. I really appreciate you guys. Again, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I showed my mom how to do that just the other day. She was like, I missed a couple of your videos. I was like, well, hit this bell, and then you'll get a notification every time that it pops up. And so that's good to have that. I do the same thing. I've got my favorites. So I'm going to tell you guys for a minute before I go into this next song. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about some of the people that I enjoy, and I'm sure a whole lot of you guys will probably recognize the people I name. Obviously, I listen to the Midas Touch Network. And I'm not just saying this because I contribute for them and work with them. I say this because they're one of the few news networks that just really cuts through the bullshit and tells it for what it is. There's not, Donald Trump will come out and say that he wants to be dictator on day one just for a day, and if we'll let him be a dictator, he'll give it back to us. The mainstream media will say something stupid like, well, that's an interesting new strategy. And Midas Touch Network's like, no, that's insane. That's bullshit. We don't need that, and I love that about them. So obviously I listen to the Midas Touch Network. I'm also a huge fan of Bo of the Fifth Column. I listen to him every day. I listen to the David Pakman Show. I listen to Luke Beasley. I really like him a lot. Of course, I listen to the Young Turks. There's a lot out there. I'm probably forgetting somebody. And of course, I listen to the Midas Touch contributors. Guys like Texas Paul. I tune in every day, and I always tune in for Coffee with Texas Paul. That's always a great podcast. I listen to Coach D. Hell, me and Coach D spent 2 hours talking on the phone last night, exchanging ideas and thinking of stuff we might do in the future. And so that got me excited and got me looking forward to some things. There's a whole lot of people out there that... Yeah, in Texas, Brian Tyler Cohen, I like him too. But yeah, Texas Paul is who was kind enough to hook me up with the Midas Touch Network, and that's been a great friendship and with Paul and all the guys at Midas. So shout out to the Midas Mighty. I really love those guys and working with them, and I appreciate them for letting me contribute. I'm gonna do y'all a song now since we're talking about that. We'll get away from the political satire just for a minute. We'll talk about something else. The Midas Touch Network was kind enough to let me. They was kind enough to let me share a story of mine on their network. I contributed a video, and what I was talking about. I'll get it out in a minute, folks. I'm very bad to get distracted. But what it was, I was talking about the right wing and their obsession with Hunter Biden. And then he did the thing where he stood up and walked out right in the middle of Marjorie Taylor Greene talking, which I thought was brilliant. I'll just say it. I don't think he should ever sit and listen to a woman or be lectured by a woman who showed off his personal pictures to Congress. I think that's bullshit. He should never sit through that and entertain a word she has to say, because they just want to talk and not allow him to say a word. They're the very people that sits and tells us every day about how that Donald Trump's not allowed to talk, and then they want to silence Hunter every chance they get. And my argument's always been, well, how does Hunter Biden help us put food on our table or not? I mean, that guy's not in public office. He's not running for public office. He's a private citizen. What he does in his personal life, that's his business, And all these things that they say they have, all this evidence they say they have, they never actually come out with it. They never actually show it. But there was one spot about that video where he walked out that really stuck a chord with me and just really triggered me. And that was when somebody was literally yelling at him, asking him what kind of crack he used. And then later, Marjorie Taylor Greene was talking with Alex Jones, and they were talking about how messed up he looked and how high he looked and how screwed up he looked. And that really bugged me really bad because I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I have struggled in my lifetime with addiction for years. Um, Back those years that I played in the Mustang Lounge, that was from like 2005 through 2012. That was, I refer to those as my missing years because there's a lot of that I can't remember because I did go out there and live really hard, and I lived as close to the edge as a human being could possibly go without going over. And when you finally crash into the wall and you hit the wall, and you come to the realization that you do have a problem, because for the longest time I never thought I had a problem. I just did it when I played music. I started off playing shows, and all I did was drink a lot of beer. I just drank beer and get drunk, entertain the crowd. They'd get drunk with me. Nobody seemed to care. We'd just move on to the next town. Well, as time went on, I would experiment with things. If somebody said, "Hey, we got something over here, you want to come try it?" I'd try it out. I was like that song by Sheryl Crow, "There Goes the Neighborhood," where she says, "I dropped acid on a Saturday night just to see what the fuss was about." That was kind of me for a long time. I pretty much did that for a long time. And so then one day, the partying got so out of hand and so hardcore that I would have a hard time walking back on stage. I would have a hard time getting up and shaking it off and doing another show. We'd play 2 or 3 nights in a row. It was hard. By night 3, I'm dead. Well, we had some songs that we wrote back in those days, and we wrote a lot about the drug use in our part of the world. We had one tune where the punchline was she was writing bad checks for Lorsets and drinking $3 wine. I've played it on the show before. I may play it later, but that song caused a whole lot of people to walk up to me in the bathroom or catch me coming off stage or catch me outside in the parking lot, and they'd say, "Here, man, here's one of these. Sing that song for me." Well, I didn't know what those kind of things even did. I wasn't into it. That wasn't my thing. And I just started taking them home and putting them in a little jar up in my closet. And before you know it, I had a whole stash of just random things that people had handed me. And then I started having a harder time to get on stage. And one day, I said to a buddy of mine, I said, "I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through this next show or not." I was like, "I am so out of it." And he was like, "Well, have you ever took a Percocet 10? And I was like, "No." He's like, "Dude, if you'll take that, it'll wake you up." I was like, "Really?" I said, "I've just never took them." I said, "I never understood why people took those if they weren't in pain." He said, "Oh, no, dude, they'll really pep you up." I was like, well, I said, "Well, I've got a whole little stash over here that people have gave me over the years." And he said, "Well, bring them to me. I'll show you what they are." And he literally sat down and he just went through and he separated them all out on the bed. And he was like, "Hey, these are these are these are that. This does this does that." He just gave me the whole rundown on all of it. And I said, "So you're telling me that if I take one of these right here, I'm going to be able to get on stage tonight?" He said, "Oh, yeah." He said, you will." Well, and I did. I got on stage. I was wide awake. And by the end of the night, I was going, "Dang, I can't go to sleep." He's like, "Well, now this one thing they gave you over here, this is a benzo. This one will bring you back down." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then all of a sudden, I started doing it. Next thing you know, I just got caught up in doing that. The funny part about me, though, is, and the reason why that I've never really told these stories, and I don't even know if it's a good reason not to tell it. But the main reason I never shared my stories is because in my mind, I brought it on myself. Like, in my mind, I didn't have nothing to rebel against growing up. I was not abused. I was not neglected. My mom and dad are great people. They've always been great and supportive of me. There was no reason why. I was just doing this shit so I could write songs about it. I was buying the ticket, taking the ride. That's what I was doing. I was going back to those gonzo journalism, the Hunter S. Thompson books I read where he went out and he lived with the Hells Angels, where he went on the campaign trail. And I thought, if you're going to write about it, you got to live it. And I got obsessed with that. And it was about wanting to go out there and experience what my heroes experienced, so that if I sung about it, I was speaking from personal experience. So for a long time, I kind of felt bad talking about it because I would hear other people's stories, and they would have these really horrific stories, and mine would just be, I was just trying to imitate John Belushi one night. I didn't know. So I always felt kind of bad about it. And then one day, it just hooked me. And when it hooked me, it just slammed me right straight up against the wall and realized I had a problem. And I had to go to rehab and get clean, and I was able to kick all of those things. I still drink from time to time. I still have a beer here and there. And I still, I still make mistakes, and I still slip up from time to time. So that's why I've always had a hard time, too, using the word recovery. It's been a word that, I've had a hard time using. But Anyway, I wrote this song here for the album Forgotten Appalachia because I got to thinking about how that I'd written all these songs about drugs, but I had never written any songs for the survivors. You know, I realized that I had never written songs for the survivors, and so I decided to sit down and write this tune. And I want to thank Midas Touch for allowing me to share that story with them and get it on their platform. I also did a video where I was talking about Jelly Roll and what he had to say to Congress. And while I may not be a Jelly Roll fan as far as his music goes, I've stumbled across a few songs since then that I will admit I like. But I never was big into the country hip hop stuff. But I really appreciated what he had to say. And when he said, I used to be part of the problem, now I want to be part of the solution, that really struck a chord with me. And so I guess it's time to start sharing this story more often, no matter how uncomfortable it makes me, because I'll be brutally honest with you guys. I'm never going to preach at you. I'm never going to get on a high horse. I'm never going to, you know, preach a sermon to you. That's not my style at all. I'm never going to tell you not to do anything. I'm just going to tell you that if you do, be careful, because it's not what you think it is. It ends in a manner that you don't imagine coming. So anyway, I was watching a friend of mine who was struggling with recovery and making it. They were doing really good. Hadn't touched the hard stuff in a while, but they still couldn't shake their need for just a little wake and bake. And some people was giving her a hard time over that, and I thought, man, that's the least of your worries. You know, if you can manage to get control of your demons, and that's the one thing that gets you through your day, I ain't got a problem with it. And so I wrote this tune called The Hillbilly Angel. Been 18 months since you kicked that demon. 6 a.m. and the baby's screaming, the cold trucks woke up Maggie again. She still likes her reefer in the morning, gets tired of hearing her shriek a warning, how she's one toke away from the gateway back to sin. Works part-time down at Conley's Drive-In. Such a great time to be alive in. The old men hang around to watch her sway. Some like to flirt and some talk shitty, with pickup lines worse than Conway Twitty. Smiles through gritted teeth for her take-home pay. She left Path Fork and she headed for the crater, just to get away from all of the haters. She goes home alone, she's nobody's darling. When she smiles, she looks just like Harlan. And who'd have thought she'd ever live to tell? She's a hillbilly angel on a mountain that's blown to hell. Her figure's coming back, the family's talking. Some try to say she's out street walking, but she's out on the porch taking selfies on Instagram. Her ex-old man's out causing a riot. Heard he's back on that Jenny Crank diet. Looks back and can't believe she ever gave a damn. Now mama says, girl, you really need Jesus. She's too busy crushing on Norman Reedus. Besides, she can't go out on a Sunday night. Gets lost in her songs every time she hears them. Caught up in the groove and addicted to the lyrics. If anyone asks, tell them she's doing alright. Yeah, she goes home alone, ain't nobody's darling. When she talks, she sounds just like Harlan. And who'd have thought she'd ever live to tell? She's a hillbilly angel on a mountain that's blown to hell. Just a hillbilly angel on a mountain that's gone to hell. All right, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. And that one's also available on my new album. Shots of Truth Volume 2. Me and the band did a full band version of that tune. And back in 2018, I put that song out on an album called Forgotten Appalachia, which is under the name Brandon Fulson. And if you will check that out, it's Brandon, Fulson. If you guys will be sure to check that album out. It's called Forgotten Appalachia. There's a really cool version on that album that is just me. That's an acoustic baritone I was playing there, but it was just me on an electric baritone guitar, and John Baker did some slide guitar and some volume swells, which give it a really haunting sound. And the reason we recorded it that way is because I had actually finished that album and it was ready to be mixed and mastered and done. But I kept saying there's something missing about it. I didn't have a story for the survivors, and it needs to have that kind of story. And so I ended up writing that tune, and then the drummer had went to the beach. He was gone. We had to have it to the mastering guy by a certain day, and when that happened, it was like, well, we got to do something. This has to go on the album. And so me and John just sat down and knocked that one out by ourselves. And yeah. And I definitely agree with that sentiment. It's something that grows naturally upon the planet, so what does it hurt? I'm going to reach here just for a second and grab something else that I want to share with you. If I can find this back while we're still on the subject. I stumbled across another tune that I had written. I don't know if I can find it back. I might have already misplaced it, but if not, I'll play it for you the next time. Thought I'd put it here, but maybe I didn't. But anyway, thank you guys so much for being with me and hanging out here at the table. I'll be honest with you, I don't play out enough to be able to remember my songs like I wish that I could. That's one of my biggest problems, is that used to I played 3-4 nights a week. I had no problem at all. Let me check one more place. I had no problem at all remembering my songs because I played them 3 or 4 nights a week, So it was always one of those things where I was always playing them. And that caused me to be able to remember them a whole lot better. But yeah, I found it. We'll play it. We'll play it and then we'll move on. Let's see. Which guitar to get? Here we go. But this is another song while we're on the subject of people battling with addiction and struggling with drug problems. I've had a whole lot of people reach out to me. I have responded to some of you guys, but there has been a couple that have got lost in the mix, and if so, I'm still scrolling through them all. My inboxes across social media are so full these days that it's really hard to get to them, but I'm trying my best, to search to sift through those. I want everybody to feel comfortable reaching out and talking to me about things, and maybe we can all work together to get better. But this song here I wrote a couple years ago, and I haven't checked it to see how it's doing on YouTube, but to give you the context, I released this in like 2019, I think, or somewhere through there, maybe 20 or 21, I can't remember. But I released this, and it was online for like 3 or 4 years and had like 300 views, and I put it back out to you guys and it had like 5,000. So I really appreciate you guys being here and supporting what I do, and always know I love you, and I'm here to talk and help us get through this stuff. But this here is about what it's like to live the rest of your life trying to struggle with addiction. One of the things that I didn't know going into this whole thing, I just thought that once you got better, you was better. I didn't know. I just thought, okay, if you quit doing it, you'll be all right. But that's not the case at all. When you quit, the cravings never go away, and the desire to do it never goes away. It's like you'll catch yourself, wanting to fall back into those habits. It's so easy to do. Now, the one thing, once I went to rehab and got cleaned out, the one thing that was the hardest part for me was, as I started coming out of that fog and remembering where I had been, I found stuff in my guitar cases that I forgot was there. I found stuff like in my dresser drawer. I found stuff just in the most random of places. I'd pull out a winter coat, stick my hands in my pockets, and there was something I used to do. And I'd have to toss it in the trash. There would always be those moments, though, where life would get the better of me, and I might slip back just for a second and have those mishaps. And when I did, I felt like such shit. It's like I always felt so terrible for that when that happened. And I just remember, literally opening an ashtray on one of my vehicles that I hadn't used in a while, and there would be something in it. So, it was like, I'll be honest with you, years later, after all that was over and I had it behind me, if I got pulled over and searched by the police, I was still paranoid when they started going through my amplifiers and my guitar cases. I'm going, oh shit, I went over everything with a fine-tooth comb. I have made sure to dig in all of my seats and the vehicles and stuff, because that was one of the hardest parts about it for me, was just suddenly you're finding stuff that you're like, oh shit, better throw this away. And so I'll try to get through this one. It's called Still Trying to Kick It. But this is for those of you that have those moments. You can overcome it. It's hard. And if you ever do slip up, don't let that be the end of it. Just double down and try harder to keep on digging yourself out, because you can make it. But anyway, that's what this is about. It's called Still Trying to Kick It. I found one in my winter coat pocket, one in my dresser drawer, found two in the bathroom mirror. I don't recall doing that before. Found some in the glove compartment, a few in my change can. I found two in Mama's jewelry box, and one in my handband. And these old habits keep turning up. But once you've hit the wall, you know you've had enough. Now I might slip a time or two, but most times I throw them away, 'cause I'm still trying to kick it and get better every day. Down there on the corner used to be my go-to guy. I had to change my number and learn to pass him by. Sometimes I see my angel, but her demons never let go. And the hardest thing I had to do was learn to tell her no. And these old habits keep turning up. And once you've hit the wall, you know you've had enough. Now I might slip a time or two, but most times I throw them away, 'cause I'm still trying to kick it and getting better every day. Yeah, I'm still trying to kick it and getting better every day. All right. So I want to thank you guys so much for sticking around and being here with me at the table. Hope everyone's doing good tonight, man. I am snowed in here where I'm at, so I hope you guys are staying warmer than me. It is like, which I'm warm right now, but I'm just saying, it's like 10 degrees here in the Cumberland Gap. And so yeah, it's been a challenge, man. Made it. We did have our mail did run one day. I've ordered some stuff and keep going to the mailbox. They was able to make it up here one day, and then we got a second dose of it. They ain't been back. So yeah, I'm about to get cabin fever for sure, man. It's really getting there. I'm not going to turn into Jack Nicholson on The Shining, though. I'm going to do everything I can to not have my story end that way. But I really appreciate you guys for being here, and I really appreciate. I will check out Bruce Wilson. Let me write that down. I like making notes when you guys reach out to me and tell me things. I love the political satire. Thank you. I'll check that out for sure. Pink Williams does a good job over on TikTok. He's great. So many are. But I want to thank you guys so much. Yeah, 10 degrees here in Tennessee is something that we don't get very often. And it's going to, I've already looked at the weather, and it's saying that it's going to be like 60 degrees next week, which means everybody's going to get sick. Everybody's going to feel like crap. And I've got Wayne Stock coming up, and I got to be well for that. Bruce Nelson. Okay, my bad. Sorry. Nelson. Okay. But again, remind you guys, I am playing a gig with the band, the full band. Who is my favorite guitar player? I'm going to come right back to that question real quick. I have a bunch, and I would love to talk about it. But before I do that, I just wanted to remind you guys once again, if you just tuned in, I will be playing a show with the band. I'm going to have Greg Horn playing the lead guitar. I don't know if he'll pack his pedal still or not, but he burns that up too. He's going to be on lead guitar. Brian Stansbury is going to be on the drums, and Cecilia Wright is going to be on bass. And just a great group of guys and girls, and we'll have a good time. We've been working on our set and getting it ready. And some of you guys got to see some of that. If you're part of the members, I shared one of our practice sessions and let you guys see what we've been working on. Our drummer Brian had been sick, and we ended up doing a rehearsal session without him. But he's back on the mends and getting well, and so we'll be in full swing at the Relics Variety Theater in Knoxville, Tennessee, February 3rd. Our set's at 8 p.m. Now, here's the kicker. If you guys can't make it out, and I realize some of you in Nova Scotia and Australia and Scotland ain't going to be able to pull that off. So the good news is 2 weeks from tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, I will be going live on the channel, and you'll get to see the YouTube set live from Wayne Stock with me and the band. Not sure what the sound quality is going to be like necessarily, because I'm still curious to see where we'll be able to get and set up to get a good shot of the band and get a good angle. And I want to get in a good spot where you don't have somebody just... One of my biggest pet peeves on this earth is when you're trying to record yourself playing live somewhere, and you'll set your camera on a table, and then two drunk dudes gets right in front of your camera and starts carrying on a conversation. So I may have to have some people... I may have to have some bouncers around my camera to take care of that. That'll be funny. But, no, getting back to the... I hope you make it, Serena. I really do. That'll be great. It'd be great to meet you. And anybody out there, I'll just go ahead and tell you, anybody out there that ever sees me out somewhere and wants to walk up and say, hey, go for it, because I remember names and I can remember faces, but I'm not always the best at putting it together. I'm not always the best at... I know that person, but where do I know them from? So don't be one bit shy to walk up and say, hey, I'm so-and-so from YouTube Live. I'll really appreciate it. But my favorite guitar player, man, that is... there's no way that I could whittle it down and name one. It would be impossible. But I will say that probably the guy that inspired me to end up playing the style that I play the most would have to be Gary Rossington from Lynyrd Skynyrd. And the reason I say that is because back when I first started playing guitar, I was obsessed with Lynyrd Skynyrd. And I couldn't play fast, and I still can't. I started playing when I was like 14 years old. I'm about to turn 44, so 30 years later, I still can't play fast. But I can play melodic. And Rossington always played very melodic. If you listen to his solos, like on Tuesday's Gone and Simple Man and Give Me Three Steps and That Smell, you could almost whistle or sing Rossington's leads. And he always played them the same way every time, and I loved that about him. He always played those like they were... It wasn't just a chance for him to go off on some sort of tangent, which I like that too. I love when the guitarist goes off and improvises and doesn't play the same solo twice. But I just really loved how Rossington did that. So he would be probably, in all fairness, if I had to say, if there was a number one spot, he would probably be in it. But then there's so many other people that I would have to name drop and put up there for favorite guitar players. Dickie Betts from the Allman Brothers was a massive influence. David Gilmour from Pink Floyd was another one. Let's see. J.J. Cale is one of my favorite guitar players. If you've never checked out J.J. Cale, go check him out. He wrote Call Me the Breeze for Skynyrd, and the song I Got the Same Old Blues Skynyrd recovered. He also wrote the songs Cocaine and After Midnight for Eric Clapton. And JJ is one of my absolute all-time favorite songwriters, singers, guitar players. He just had a really simple, cool style that worked. Jerry Garcia, yeah, I would definitely put Garcia up there. And not to change the subject too quick, but if you guys, I don't know how many people loves the Grateful Dead, or if we got any deadheads in the house, but if you ever get a chance and you want to listen to a podcast that will keep you glued, go check out the Good Old Grateful Dead cast. That is the official podcast of the Grateful Dead. They go in there, they deep dive those albums, they deep dive the studio albums, the live albums, all the bootlegs, and they talk to all the people that was part of it. And man, it is awesome. I'm still listening to it right now. Right now I'm on the season where they're talking about the album from 1972 that ended up being called Skull and Roses, because it just said Grateful Dead, and it had Bertha. I don't know if you see that. I got the sticker there. So that podcast is great. So Garcia would be up there for sure. He's another one. And Neil Young. I love Neil Young's guitar playing, and what was such a big influence on me about Neil Young was he could play an electric guitar, and he had a really raw, just off the wall sound like that. But then he could also sit down and he could pick you acoustic songs like "Old Man" and "Needle and the Damage Done," and I loved him. So that's just a couple off the top of my head. I could sit here and talk guitar players with you for the rest of the night. Keith Richards, yes, definitely Keith Richards. That's why I've got a guitar over here tuned to open D, or open G. I mean, I'll play a few songs from that in a minute. Or hell, we can do it now. Like I said, I don't have a set list. I just read the audience. I said that a minute ago. And since I was talking about Wayne Stock, this might be a good segue, because we're going to play this tune here at Wayne Stock. And I wrote this tune in open G. Now this guitar here is the guitar that I learned how to play on. I think it's this one. Yeah. Interesting note about this guitar. I have some of the I don't know what it's called, but it's that grass that grows in Florida that just sort of hangs down off the trees, and just sort of like lays around. I got some of that, and it's in this guitar. I got it from Ronnie Van Zant's grave. There was a piece that like broke off and fell as I was standing there, and I reached and grabbed it, and I brought it home and put it in this guitar. But anyway, open G is really fun to play in, and Keith Richards used it a lot. I mean, it's what he was always tuned to. If you're a guitar player and you've always had a hard time trying to figure out what Keith Richards was doing, tune your guitar to open G, and here's how you do it. You bring your top string down to D. Do that, because this basically you're going to tune it like a banjo. Your top string is going to be D, and as you go down, you're going to take that A string and bring it down to G. So you got D and G right here. And then you're going to leave the next three strings the same as standard tuning. That's going to be D, G, and B. And then you're going to drop the bottom string down to D too. And that gives you it's just an open chord now. So when you hear like, and I got to be careful about playing cover tunes on here, they'll flag my video, but if you hear like Keith Richards do the and then he does do we hear those kind of chords? That's how he's able to pull that off. For years it used to frustrate me. I was like, what the hell is he doing when he goes like, I was like, what the hell is he doing? I could never get it to sound right. And then yeah, I discovered this tuning, and then I started writing in it. So this is a tune that, yeah, Prince was another one. Oh, man. I never did get too deep into Prince music, I'll be honest with you, but there is a video out there of him doing While My Guitar Gently Weeps with Tom Petty, and that might be the greatest solo I ever heard. Yeah. But anyway, this is a tune that I wrote. It's on the album called Brando's Ribble Review. It's on Bandcamp. It's out there on the all the social media apps. It's listed under my name, Brandon Fulson. If you look up Brandon Fulson, you'll find a lot of this stuff. Actually, no, this one's still under Tennessee Brando. This album is, and then I have albums under Brandon Fulson. That's Brandon Fulson. But this one is on Tennessee Brando's music apps alongside the Shots of Truth albums. And I got the inspiration for this song in one of the most bizarre places that you could get it. But that's the thing about being a songwriter. You just never know what might spark an interest and what might spark a song and make you want to write it. And this will sound hilarious, but no joke. I was listening to an interview with Charles Manson, of all people. And I've always been fascinated with that story for whatever reason. I think there's 4 books in my stack of books on my coffee table, and they're all like books about the Manson murders. And so I remember watching Helter Skelter back when I was like 10, and it scared the piss out of me, but that's another story. I was sitting there one day watching him talk, and they asked him who he was, and he said, I'm a nobody. He says, I'm nobody. He's like, I'm just a boxcar, and I'm a jug of wine, and I'm a straight razor if you get too close to me. And I went, holy crap, that's a song. And I wrote this song faster than I've probably ever written a song in my life. As fast as the words would hit the paper, I had it. Grabbed the guitar happened to be an open G, and I went to make a G chord, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm an open G, and I just started playing this riff and wrote it. And it's probably the fastest song I ever wrote ever. We'll be playing it with the band. We always rock this one up and kind of make it frantic when we play it. But this one's called Twisted Rhymes. I'm a chunk of coal in a abandoned mine. I'm a boxcar, I'm a jug of wine. I'm the last little kid in a welfare line. Get too close, I'm a razor knife. I'm a dead man's curve on a lost highway. I'm a tortured soul, I'm a shallow grave. I'm a street child, I'm a wanted face. Cross me, son, there's a price to pay. But I'm gonna ride all these twisted rhymes till I make my own last ride. I'm a shot of whiskey, I'm a line of coke. I'm a slow burn, I'm a long toast. I'm a quiet prayer, I'm a dirty joke. I'm a crawling king, best not provoked. I'm a plowing mule, I'm an old bloodhound. I'm the morning dew, I'm the west sundown. I'm a haunted holler, a forgotten town. You do me wrong, it's a bloody ground. But I'm gonna ride all these twisted rhymes till I make my own last ride. I'm a washed up bridge, I'm an old fence post. I'm a late night binge, I'm an overdose. I'm the devil's music, I'm a sinner's boast. I'm an old church hymn with the Holy Ghost. I'm a sunken ship, I'm a busted raft. I'm the pile of bones in a mining shaft. I'm a burning rain, I'm a cold down draft. I'm the last rites, I'm an epitaph. But I'm gonna ride all these twisted rhymes till I make my twisted rhymes till I make my home last ride. All right, thank y'all so much. That was Twisted Rhymes from my album Brando's Hillbilly Review, and it is available. If you go look up Tennessee Brando on all the music apps, you can find that one. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you being with me. We're going to go a little bit longer. For you guys that have been here the entire time and stuck around, I really appreciate it. Always remember, I always post these the next day. They're always back, ready for people to go back and watch the replay. So we can always do that. Tell you what, while I got it on my mind, I'll play y'all one more serious tune, and then we'll get back to breaking the ice and laugh a little bit. How about that? But this tune here goes back to those days playing in the Mustang Lounge and places like that, playing those dive bars for years. This was written right at the height of my drug abuse. It really was. And I was playing one night and woke up the next morning, and man, I mean, Sunday morning coming down, but Chris Christopherson applied. it was like Sunday morning was really coming down really, really hard. And in that previous song I just sung, Twisted Rhymes, the line is, I'm going to write these twisted rhymes till I take my own last ride. And that's a reference to Hank Williams Sr. and the last ride that he ever took from Knoxville to Oak Hill, West Virginia. I was always fascinated by that last ride story. There's a really good movie, by the way, that's not all the way factually true. I found out later that the creator decided to write more of like a novel-based version of what the last ride might have been, and the guy that played the kid in E.T. plays Hank Williams, and you wouldn't believe it, but that dude I thought did the best Hank Williams I've ever seen on a movie. So even though the story is kind of just based on the idea, it's not necessarily 100% factual, I still would highly recommend it. But I was always fascinated by that story of Hank Sr. and his last ride from Knoxville to Oak Hill. There's so much speculation and rumors as to what might have really happened to him. But I had always had on my bucket list that I wanted to go watch him, or not watch him, I wish I could have. I wanted to go drive and see where the place was that they found him passed away. Well, to stick to the route and be honest to the route that he took, you would have to leave the old Andrew Johnson Hotel, which is now like I think the Board of Education or some shit, but you would have to leave that building and you would have to drive the back road all the way there. Now, if you just left Knoxville and hit the interstate, you could be up there in like 3 or 4 hours. But if you take the route and stay true to the way Hank Sr. did it, it'll take you about 7.5. It's a long haul. And me and my dad made that drive one day on a New Year's Eve. And that was how we spent our New Year's together. Because that's when they found Hank. And when I got up there, there was just this little spot that they had dedicated to him because he passed away at this gas station where they found him passed away at the gas station. And across the street is a library, and there was a little plaque there for him. But I had written these songs all those years ago because one morning I had woke up, and like I said, Sunday morning was coming down really hard. And I looked over and I had a text message from a buddy of mine, and he said, man, I had an opening line for a song, and if you can think of anything to do with it, run with it. And the line said, my soul is an engine running on fumes, and I'll feel it was my soul is an engine running on fumes, and I will feel it with sadness of a Hank Williams tune. And I was like, oh, dude, I'm sitting here living that at the moment. So I sat there, I typed the entire rest of the song into my text box, and I left him room for one line on the end. And I said, here, dude, I said, there's room for one line at the end of this. If you can think of one more line, send it to me, and I'll get up out of bed and write this. And he sent me back the line, the longer the journey, the shorter the stay. And I thought, I love that. I got up and wrote this tune. It's called The Manufactured Twang. But it's so interesting how that I wrote that in 2011, and then it wasn't until 2016 going into 17, or 15 going into 16, I remember, that standing there on that spot, my own song kind of came to me, and then it finally made sense. And the great Robert Earl Keen one time said that you sometimes have to grow into your tunes, and that's definitely how this was for me. So here it is, The Manufactured Twang, and then we'll get back to laughing at MAGA Republicans. soul is an engine running on fumes, and I'll fill it with sadness of a Hank Williams tune. My brain is a highway rambling around. I got the heart of a poet, so I write it all down. My old friend Luke, he done drifted away, and we all struck gold on the road he paved. But the sequins and rhinestones could never shine bright as the women in whiskey and all the white lines. I'm living the life that killed Elvis, stuck in a heartbreak hotel. And old Jerry Lee tried to warn us, this car was headed for hell. We're dancing like Jesco and D-Ray, crying when the old possum sang, and laughing at all them posers making that manufactured twang. Last saw Luke on a lost highway. He left me a shadow and a price to pay. And now I stand at the edge of his early grave. I know the longer the journey, the shorter the stay. I'm living the life that killed Elvis, stuck in a heartbreak hotel. And old Jerry Lee tried to warn us, this car was headed for hell. We're dancing like Jesco and D-Ray, we're crying when the old possum sang, and we're laughing at all them posers making that manufactured twang. All right, thank y'all so much, and I'm glad y'all are enjoying it. Glad y'all are sticking here and hanging around, man. It means a lot to me that you guys would take time out of your evening to sit and watch us here at the kitchen table. We always have a good time with these. We always try to find a way to make it fun and talk about the world around us. And saw somebody a while ago say that they love Three Dog Night. Man, I played that song "Never Been to Spain," which was written by Hoyt Axton. I played that song to death. I probably played that song more times than they did. It's ridiculous. But that was a big hit in the Mustang Lounge when I played it. It was also a big hit I used to play over at a place in Jellicoe, Tennessee called the Starlight, which was the king of the redneck dive bars. It didn't have chicken wire around it like the Blues Brothers, but I needed it a night or two. I don't have my Les Paul sitting out here, but I still got a chunk out of my Les Paul where I got bashed with a beer bottle right in mid-song, man. Somebody just laid it into me and laid my hand open. Luckily, I didn't have to have stitches, but it laid me open, and I just kept playing through it. And the crowd loved it because they was like, "Oh, wow, he's playing. He's bleeding like a stuck hog, and he's still playing," you know. Just went with it. But I saw somebody mention Carlos Santana. That's another damn good guitar player. But yeah, the great Carlos Santana one time said that if you take from only one musician, it's stealing. But if you take from many, it's called research. So I've researched this stuff. When I'm doing that whole manufactured twang, when I'm going, I stole that off Steve Earle. If he ever wants to reach out and talk to me about it, I'd love to hear from him. So I'm not too worried about it. If one day, I've always looked at it, if one day somebody like that knocks on my door and says, "Hey buddy, you stole my lick," that means I got heard. So That'll be cool. But hell, we're sitting here talking about music, man. Let's talk about music for a minute because it's always fun to do. I see so many people talking about their favorite shows. Oh man, if I had $1 for every time I sang Copperhead Road, good Lord, I could take you all out to the steakhouse. Emmylou Harris and Tanya Tucker. Emmylou Harris is one of the most, golly, just the greatest voices and one of the beautifulest human beings that ever walked the earth. Yeah. Oh, Three Dog Night was your first show. That's awesome. Love Three Dog Night, man. They were so underrated. I saw ZZ Top 3 times, I think. 2 or 3. They put on a hell of a show. Love Billy Gibbons. Would have loved to have seen Stevie Ray Vaughan. Oh, damn. That would have definitely been one for me. Believe it or not, folks, I have never got to see Willie Nelson. I know that sounds crazy, but I have never got to see Willie Nelson. Never got to see Steve Earle either. But I don't think that I've heard of the Ghost Towns, so I'll have to check those out. Have done Van Morrison. Thoughts on Tom Waits? I love that dude. I used to cover the song Old 55er back in the day. One of these days, I'm just going to say to hell with it. We won't do it tonight, but one of these days, I'm just going to say to hell with it, and we'll do a cover tune show. I won't be able to monetize it, but who cares? We'll just have fun doing it. Johnny Cash, oh man, big hero. Behind me here on the wall, that's John Prine. He was hanging up here, but I kind of redid my wall behind me. I found this really kick-ass poster of Muhammad Ali standing over Sonny Liston. I want to point something out here. Not trying to dive back into the politics, but Donald Trump says he weighs 215. That's how much Muhammad Ali weighed right there. I don't know if I'm sorry, but like Trump just does not look like that. But anyway, I moved John Prine down here. I got the Drive-By Truckers Dirty South album there. That's The Killer, Jerry Lee Lewis over here. And then there's a record, the Buddha's kind of blocking it, but that's a record of Tyler Childers' Long Violent History. And then that's a picture up there of Hunter S. Thompson. So I have a lot of people from time to time will ask me. My favorite shows I've ever been to, probably my top, I don't know, it'd be very hard to make a top 5. I got to see Bob Seger. Oh, man, I got to see Bob Seger at the Yum Center, which was the old Louisville Gardens in Louisville, Kentucky. Oh, damn, that was great. I had people say to me, that's like, Bob Seger's getting old. He can't do it as good as he used to. Let me tell you something. He was as good as he ever was when I seen him. I don't know about other people's shows they might have went to, but, man, he's up there now. I think he's up in his 70s. And, man, he just was running up around the stage like he was in his 20s. He put on a hell of a show. And Bob Seger's another one, man. My favorite Bob Seger song of all time is The Ship of Fools. That's always been my favorite Seger tune. He's a massive, massive influence on me. I think he's just one of the greatest singer-songwriters. You know, a lot of times when people say singer-songwriters, they'll think of Bob Dylan, they'll think of, Jackson Brown and guys like that. And I love Bob Dylan. Hell, I named my son after him. But the thing about it is, Seger was a guy who, man, just look how long he did it and how many golden hits he wrote. John Fogerty's another one that just wrote everything he wrote was gold. But, know what I was going to say about my favorite shows, and probably one of the greatest shows I ever seen in my life was Earl Scruggs and Friends at the Tennessee Theater. He had John Jorgensen on the electric guitar, and he had Jerry Douglas on the dobro. He had his son Gary Scruggs on the bass, and they absolutely slayed it. Marty Stewart and the Fabulous Superlatives is one of the best shows I've ever seen. A group called the Wilder Blue out of Texas, I believe. Holy crap. I had never heard of those guys at all. And I was so blown away, I bought a shirt and a CD and a koozie and a sticker and a poster. I was like, I'm going to go broke buying these guys shit because they're that great. But they put on a hell of a show. Mike and the Moon Pies puts on a great show. Then I saw the Drive-By Truckers one time. I saw the Drive-By Truckers over 40 times. And I'm going to get to go back and see them at the Homecoming show in Athens, Georgia. And I'm so excited. I haven't been to Homecoming in Athens since 2012. So 12 years ago, I got to go. I'm finally getting to go back. Can't wait for that. I'll show you guys some stuff when I get down there. But I saw the Truckers once at the 930 Club in D.C. And now I've saw them 40 times. I've saw great shows at the 40 Watt. But there was one particular night at the 930 Club that they just really laid it down. And I was like, oh, damn, that might be one of the best I've ever seen. And then I saw Tyler Childers at Rupp Arena, and that was unbelievable. He may be the best vocalist I've ever seen live. Never got to see John Mayer, but I love a lot of his tunes. Jerry Jeff Walker, I never got to see him, but love his songs. If you guys remember the song Up Against the Wall, Redneck Mother, that Jerry Jeff Walker did, that was written by a guy named Ray Wiley Hubbard. Ray Wiley Hubbard is the guy that wrote the song Snake Farm. He also did Drunken Poet's Dream with Hayes Carl. I got to open for Ray Wiley Hubbard on his birthday, and he was one of the nicest dudes ever and just gave me so many encouraging words, and that was great. Gary Stewart, oh man, I was so, oh yeah, we could sit and talk Gary Stewart the rest of the night. That is one of the most underrated country singers of all time. You guys be sure to go check out Gary Stewart if you like that old school. Now, Mike and the Moon Pies, they did an entire album of the lost songs of Gary Stewart. But Gary Stewart had songs like, what was it? Brand New Whiskey was always a favorite of mine. She's Acting Single and I'm Doing Doubles. Oh, man. Yeah, KP, thank you so much. I've never seen Sturgill Simpson. If you're asking what my favorite Sturgill Simpson song is, oh, God, it's hard. I'm gonna kind of throw a curveball. I could never really. It's hard. I've covered several of his over the years, but my favorite Sturgill Simpson song, if I had to say right now in this particular moment, and if you ask me next week, I may give you a different answer. But I love the song Voices. I love the line, how I wish somebody make those voices go away. It seems they're always talking. You ain't got much to say. A picture's worth 1,000 words, but a word ain't worth a dime. I love that song. Towns Van Zandt. I love that album he had live at the Old French Quarter. That was one of my favorite albums. I used to listen to that album on the way home from gigs. Roger Miller, that's another massive favorite, a massive influence, because Roger Miller was great at satire. He was great at comedy. Chug-a-Lug. I always liked the song by him. My favorite Roger Miller tune, Waylon Jennings covered it, but my favorite Roger Miller tune was I've Been a Long Time Leaving, But I'll Be a Long Time Gone. I always loved that. Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd. I love that song. Love that whole album. Wow, you got to see Elvis. That's really cool. Wow, it's awesome. Yeah, there is so many good songs. Vern Gosdin. Now, there's a classic country singer you don't hear very many people name drop. Vern Gosdin was great. I always felt bad, like even trying to cover his songs because his voice was so good. It's like, how the hell do you really do that? Oh, wow, you got to see Loretta Lynn. I didn't get to see her. I did go to Butcher Holler and see where she grew up, though. Never got to see Keith Whitley. Keith Whitley died on my birthday. I remember that. Glenn Campbell's another classic. Hey, Grand Funk Railroad, they actually opened. Yeah, it was Grand Funk Railroad. They opened for Bob Seger when I seen him. I didn't know they were still doing anything. I'm sitting there watching them, and all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute, I know these songs. Martin Knopfler, that's me and my dad's one. I should have mentioned him earlier when I was talking about favorite guitar players. I loved his solo work too. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the stuff he did with Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms albums, the Sultans of Swing, and all that. It's classic stuff. But man, if you get a hold of the album Selling to Philadelphia by Martin Knopfler, it's great. There's one called Shangri-La. It's great. He was great. Now, it's funny you mentioned Garth Brooks, because I'll be honest with you. I'll go ahead and play a song by Garth, or not by Garth, but about Garth while we're sitting here talking about him. Now, back when I was younger, when I first discovered Garth Brooks, I loved him. And I think most people, if they'd be honest with you, would tell you that. Most everybody bought those first couple of albums that he did. And then he kind of lost me when he got into the whole Chris Gaines thing and kind of took it more in a poppy direction. He sort of lost me right there. But then years later, all of a sudden I start listening to him talk, and he worked alongside Jimmy Carter, helping build houses for people, and he seems to do a lot of good work. And I began to have a different respect for him, not just on the music, but on the rest. And, oh, God, yeah, we could talk this all night. Martin Knopfler and Chet Atkins together, that was a dream. But, yeah, I wrote this tune. And I've covered a shit ton of Garth songs over the years playing in dive bars. But I wrote this tune because he opened up a new bar in Nashville. And I didn't get to go to it. When I went down to Nashville, they just had like a merch store part open, and the bar hadn't opened yet. So I'm going to go back and have me a Bud Light in Garth's bar. That'll probably end up being some content right there. But but he is a good human. And Yes, I love Rodney Crowell. Absolutely love Rodney Crowell. Pat Travers is another one. Oh man, those guys like Yngwie Malmsteen and guys like that, I could never play like that if my life depended on it. Those guys can absolutely rip. Ray Charles is another one. I did have one of his albums hanging behind me, but when I redone the wall, I kind of moved some stuff around. But anyway, I wrote this tune here about Garth and about the fact that he was saying that, he opened up his new bar and he was like, you know what, guys, he's like, he's like, I'm going to serve Bud Light in my bar, and if somebody has a problem with that, just don't come. He's like, because I want to be all inclusive. It's a popular product. I want to welcome everybody of all walks of life. I want everybody to feel comfortable. And he said, if you're going to be an asshole, just go somewhere else. I thought that was fair. I thought that was fair. And then everybody came down on his head. And I was like, why is everybody coming down on his head? Why is everybody giving him a hard time? And so I thought, this is weird because 20, 30 years ago, I don't know if I would have been on the same side with him necessarily. You know what I mean? But I just caught myself saying, well, back then I was listening to a lot of Travis Tritt's music. And then now I'm listening to Garth Brooks talk and really don't want to hear nothing Travis Tritt's got to say. So times can change and politics can make for some strange bedfellows. And so I call this one Beer with Garth. Felt like the times were changing, or so we all believed. Thought we were making progress, man, were we naive. Some folks need a hero, and that hero found his crowd. He gave them all the balls to say the quiet parts out loud. Then rage became the fashion, disrespect became the trend, and assholes want to make hate great again. Politics make for strange bedfellows, and now here we are, tuning out the trits and having a beer with Garth. We get told we hate our country, we don't back their guy. We point out the obvious, they hit their gaslight. They tell us we hate Jesus, while they sit and wish us dead. Well, I've read the book and they don't look a thing like the words in red. Now rage became the fashion, disrespect became the trend. It's time that we make those racists afraid again. Politics make for strange bedfellows, and now here we are, tuning out the trits and having a beer with Garth. Yeah, we're tuning out all the bullshit, having a beer with Garth. All right, thank you so much. I saw Paul shoot me a tip there. I really appreciate that, Paul. And he said, be sure to tip your waitresses and bartenders. And if you saw me cracking up during that, that's why. Because I used to say that every night. Y'all be sure and tip your waitresses and bartenders. I said that forever. And we'll go a little bit longer. I usually stop about 11, but I had a few more songs I wanted to play for you guys. So if you guys want to hang around for a little bit longer, and if you're getting tired, you can always come back and watch the replay tomorrow when I re-upload it. It uploads to YouTube and then I share it. So there is so many people out there making good music still. So many legends still making good music, and so many, new people popping up and making it too. So thank you guys so much. I'm not married, but I do have 5 kids and a grandson, so there's never a dull moment. That's definitely something to behold around here. I've been snowed in and ain't got to see them lately. but they're hanging in there. A while ago we were talking about. We started talking about. I got sidetracked, which was a good thing. I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about the drug use and share my story, and I hope it can help. I hope it can help people that are dealing with things. And if I know that I said if you guys want to reach out to me, be sure to do so. And a lot of you have, and I'm still trying to sift through those messages. If I've not got to you yet, it's not on purpose. All right, I'm still trying to. I want to be sure to answer those. But we were talking. What made me go into that was I was talking about how much it bothered me to see them, make a joke out of Hunter's drug use. That's one of the biggest things that got to me. But to get on a more comical note, I've had several people ask me if I was going to write an updated version of this tune. I probably need to, because for whatever reason, it keeps staying relevant. I remember when I first started writing these kind of tunes, people said, well, man, the problem with these songs is, in no time flat, they're going to be irrelevant and nobody's going to want to hear them again. Because you're writing songs about what's happening right now, and that'll be old news later. But there's two news stories that are never going to die, and that's kind of how I'm going to close out tonight's show. One of those news stories is Hunter Biden. No matter what happens, he's always, as long as Joe Biden is in office and Republicans are trying to think of something to throw at the wall, they're going to throw Hunter Biden. And thank you to Kathleen for just hitting the Cash App. But I want to tell you too, a lot of you guys are giving me the super thanks here on YouTube, and I greatly appreciate those. If you're not familiar with how to use that, I've also got the virtual tip jar, which has got my PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App links in there. You guys feel free to hit them if you feel like it, if you're able to. If you're not, don't have to. Just sit back and enjoy the show. I'm glad y'all are here. So that's the main thing. But I've not wrote a revised version of this yet, but it's still hanging in there because they can't quit talking about Hunter Biden. And somewhere deep down in Marjorie Taylor's soul, I do believe she's got a hard on for Hunter, and that's what this is called. Marjorie's got a hard on for Hunter. She talks about him all the time. Shows off his dick pics to Congress, and they drive her out of her mind. She tries like hell to suppress it, tries like hell to project. She's got a hard on for Hunter, at least that's what we suspect. Junior's got a hard on for Hunter. He always hands him the blame for all of his dirty dealings and the time he misplaced his cocaine. He thinks that we all can't see him, the little twinkle he gets in his eyes. He's got a hard on for Hunter. I don't think we have to ask why. With all the world's problems, getting back on our feet, breaking our backs just to make ends meet. I just can't help it. They just can't stop demanding to see Hunter's laptop. Yeah, the right wing has a hard on for Hunter. He's there to divide and distract. Truth won't get in the way of their stories. They won't be bothered with facts. They all wish that they could have partied like he did back in his day. But they all got a hard on for Hunter, and the truth is they just couldn't hang. Yeah, the truth is they just couldn't hang. All right. And a lot of people ask me all the time if I watch the liberal redneck Trey Crowder. I do. I got to see him live thanks to my good friend the Vol Queen, who wasn't able to make it to the show that night. She gave me her ticket, and I ended up going. And one of the best shows I've ever seen. I love those guys, Trey Crowder, Corey Ryan Forster, and Drew Morgan. Man, those guys are awesome. I did get to meet Drew Morgan. He was fascinated by my drive-by trucker tattoo. That's a coolie bird from the Big To Do album. And he took a picture of that and sent it to Patterson Hood. So he's one of the cool kids because he's got Patterson Hood's number in his phone. I've not made it to that level yet, but he did want to see my tattoo. And so the last time I saw the Drive-By Truckers play was at the Burl in Lexington. And it actually sleeted on us that night. And I'm not saying that Patterson Hood knows who I am, but he's never done this before, and I've been on the front row over 40 times. But he walked up to me and he smiled and he reached down and he fist bumped me. So I don't know. I don't know if he watches me or not, but that was pretty damn cool to have your hero give you a fist bump. But yeah, well, I was going to say something that Trey Crowder said. Now I can't remember what it was I was going to say. He made a really good point, though. Well, what he said was, I know what he said. He was like, these are the people, they brag about all of Donald Trump's escapades. They brag about him, paying off a porn star and shit like that. He's awesome in their world. And Lauren Boebert can do whatever she wants to do. If Lauren Boebert went to strip tease on a amateur night, they would cheer her on and say, yeah, that's the way to go. So he was like, the more they try to demonize Hunter and say that he parties and does all this, he's like, that's the kind of stuff they wish they could do with him, if they're telling the truth. And so I always love his takes. I always love the way he always finds a way to make me laugh from the minute that he starts talking. So I love the whole weekly skews is awesome. So I'll tell you what, we'll do y'all 2 more tunes and we'll wrap it up tonight. But thank you guys so much for hanging with me. I want to play this tune here because there's another story. Thank you so much. I saw someone hit my PayPal. I really appreciate you guys so much. Really thank you. We'll talk about a few more things before we go. One thing I want to talk about is I'm in the process right now of getting me some better equipment, microphones, things of that nature. I want to start doing my podcast, If These Hills Could Talk. I want to start doing it to be able to do it live like I see a lot of people do, where they do the split screen and they invite their guest on. I want to do that and get some of the people that I had in the past, like Texas Paul and Coach D and Superman Todd and so many people that I had on. I would love to do another one set down like that for YouTube. So that's a goal for 2024. I'm definitely going to try to get that in there. And I did record a new episode of the podcast, If These Hills Could Talk. That's the name of my podcast. You can find it wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. I interviewed a guy named Sam Terode. Sam Terode wrote a book called The Dirty Parts of the Bible, and It's Not What You Think. When I first heard that, I said to myself, he's just going to go through and pick out all the dirty parts of the Bible and talk about them. But he didn't. He managed to write a really funny novel about that, using that as kind of a backdrop, and it was great. Thank you so much to Monica. I really appreciate that tip. Thank you so much. So be sure that episode's going to drop on Monday with me talking to Sam Terode. It's just audio for now, but I'm definitely going to do that. And that's a great idea, yes. Bring the band in to talk. That's a goal, and we will do that for sure, especially when I get the microphones and the cameras. We will for sure do that because that would be a great episode because I play with a lot of like-minded people. And I can't pronounce that dude's name, but the John guy with the blue dot in Texas, that's another one I forgot earlier. I love him. But that'll definitely be on the bucket list to have the band on here and talk with me, because we have some of the best conversations when the music stops. We really have a lot of interesting conversations, and a lot of people I play with are very involved and working with a lot of cool things, and we're just going to keep moving it forward. Another news story, though, that ain't going to go away anytime soon is Taylor Swift. Every time I turn on the news, she has upset some redneck, and he's mad because she's hanging out with her boyfriend at a football game. But my question is, I thought they stopped watching it. Thank you so much to Kathy Buckley. I saw you just hit my PayPal. I thank you for that so much. It really means a lot to me. Thank you to everybody that's been here hanging out. Thanks for the tips, but again, you don't have to. Just remember, sit back and enjoy the show. But Taylor Swift is never going to leave the news as long as people gets upset. And they kind of told on themselves because I thought they had already boycotted football. I thought they had already stopped watching it, but now they're mad again. And I think they're mad because she's a woman and she's powerful. Thank you, Elizabeth, for that. I appreciate that. She's a powerful woman. She's an artist. She's an entrepreneur. I mean, she's a businesswoman. She's successful, and I think that scares the shit out of them. And she's inspiring young people to vote. And so I wrote this tune. It didn't make it onto either album, so I got to get this one out in a different form. Maybe get it out as a single or something. But it's called "Take It Easy on 'Em, Taylor." And thank you to Clarence Hatfield for that one. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Because I was like, yeah, man, they're really getting upset at Taylor. She's going to have to kind of take... Actually, at the end of the song, I tell her, don't take it easy on them. Just lay into it. But another satirical tune here for you. And we'll send this one out to all of your uncles and cousins and guys you have to work with every day that sits and rants about Taylor Swift. This is for them. Well, take it easy on them, Taylor. They've had a hard time. They can't catch a big win, and they're losing their minds. They can't go and watch a movie. They can't even drink a beer. Take it easy on them, Taylor. They sure had a rough year. You'll reach the younger generation. They can never reach that crowd. All the kids are gonna stand up and vote their sorry asses out. They're scared to death of progress, can't stand the thought of change. And you broke the cardinal rule. You wouldn't just shut up and sing. So take it easy on them, Taylor. They're so worked up these days. They've went so damn crazy. I've even heard a couple say, you respond straight from Satan. You look like one of them LeVays. Take it easy on them, Taylor. They know they're gonna fade away. I give them hell, Taylor. Let's all make them fade away. And the reason that I about busted out laughing at the end of that is because one of the most ridiculous things is they pulled up a picture of Anton LaVey's daughter, and they think that she's reincarnated as Taylor Swift. It's ridiculous. So, yeah. But, yeah. Thank you so much to, I think I'm saying this right, Aletha. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys hanging in there and hanging on. We're in an election year. It's going to get crazy. The news has broke so fast and so hard that I have actually missed stories I wanted to talk about because I was trying to talk about everything. It's really hard to do, but I'm trying to stay on top of it. Also, thank you to Devin for the PayPal. I should have mentioned that earlier in the show, but I forgot. I know a lot of you guys give me the super thanks on here. I always tag my Venmo and my PayPal and my CashApp as well. And again, you guys don't have to ever worry about doing that, but I appreciate when you do. It's always a big help. Helps me do what I do. And I'm going to take all that money that you guys help me out with, and we're going to invest it in microphones and ways to make this better. So that's what my goal is now. And I'm a lost ball and high weeds on that stuff. So I've been talking to some friends who have been helping me figure out how to go about it, because I'll be honest with you, when I see guys doing podcasts and they're bringing people up on the screen, I ain't got a clue in hell how they're doing that. And so it's going to take a little bit of work, but we're going to make it happen. And I thank you guys so much for sticking with me and hanging in there. I'm going to close you guys out with this tune tonight. And I have to give a shout out to the Midas Touch Network and all the Midas Mighty, because those guys gave me a big platform to talk on. And they've always worked well with me, and we've always got along so good, and they've always been super supportive. And Ben Mycelis is a great dude, Brett, Jordy, all of them. All the people at Midas Touch are great, but they've always been so good to give me good, healthy, constructive criticism on how to get better at it and how to go about it. And I can't say enough nice things about them. And yes, I'm the dude that sings that song. I wrote it, I sung it, me and my band rocked it out on that version. And it's kind of funny, whenever I watch the podcast all the time, the Midas Touch podcast. If you've not checked that out, go out of your way to do so. Go out of your way to find Legal AF, which is another Midas Touch podcast, where they really break things down and they tell you the stuff that the mainstream media don't. And that's what we need more of. We need more people learning, because what's the thing about it is, folks, I talk to so many people all the time. Thank you, Snow, for that one. Thank you to Felix. I really appreciate you guys. But, the thing about Midas Touch is they cut through the bullshit, they get down and they break it down as to what's really going on in the world. And I talk to so many people all the time. I'll tell them something Trump did or something Trump said or something Trump hopes to do or something MAGA's trying to get pushed through. And they would disagree with it if you didn't tell them that Joe Biden was against it. You know what I mean? And they'll say, well, I've never heard about that. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never heard about that. They've not heard about that because the mainstream media is too busy focused on other shit. Joe Biden can come ahead in 4 polls and they won't talk about it. Then on the other hand, you got Donald Trump can come ahead for 30 seconds and he'll talk about it for 4 days. It's ridiculous. So we just got to keep getting the message out there. We got to keep letting people know what's going on and explaining to them what's going on. And you got to talk about, the things. Last night when me and Coach D was talking on the phone, having a conversation, we talked about how that, you got to circle back and you got to bring it right down to how does this affect you? And when you're talking to MAGA Republicans, you're talking to your crazy conspiracy theory uncle, and he's telling you all these conspiracies about Hunter Biden, just cut through the bullshit and ask him how that's going to help pay for Mama's operation. Ask him how that's going to help bring inflation down. Ask him how that's going to help do anything. Hunter Biden's a private citizen. Point that out. Point out that, you know what? This has no effect on your life. You can get mad at Taylor Swift at a ball game all day, but you right now, more people are finding affordable health insurance than ever before. I was able to get it for the first time in years. It's more affordable now than it's ever been. And I was able to get it. A good friend of mine, all of her student debt got canceled. She had that burden took off of her. Joe Biden is doing things to help people, but too many people are focused on all the things that they can't even explain and the things that don't affect people. And that's why we just got to keep talking, and we got to keep standing on the side of truth and on democracy. And that's why I love being part of the Midas Touch Network. We always say the truth is golden. And so, yeah, you're right. Coach D is great, period. I've almost ripped him off a time or two. I have almost got to the end of my videos and did that because it's such a great way to close. That's one of the greatest, catchphrases ever. Period. That's it. He didn't need nothing. He didn't need some big long-winded cliche. He just had period. Perfect. But we'll close this one out. It sounds a whole lot different when I play this on an acoustic guitar because me and the band tried to jam it up and make it kind of a drive-by truckers meets Tom Petty kind of rocker. But we'll do the Midas Mighty, and you guys have a great rest of your weekend. And wherever you're at, if you're snowed in, I'm gonna try to get out of this tomorrow and drive down the road and see what happens. I'll let y'all know how it went. But you guys hang in there, and we'll close you out with the Midas Mighty. The Midas Mighty standing strong against the fascists. We sing our song. We'll get it right whenever they go wrong. The Midas Mighty standing strong. We're here to fight the good fight and set the record straight. There's no two sides to treason. There's no two sides to hate. We will look for the silver lining in the darkest clouds. So remember, truth is golden. And come on and sing it loud. The Midas Mighty standing strong against the fascists. We sing our song. will get it right whenever they go wrong. The Midas might is standing strong. The radicals won't stand a chance. We'll just shout them down. Inspire a generation to rise up and vote them out. We will look for the silver lining in the darkest clouds, and remember truth is golden. So come on and sing it loud. The Midas might is standing strong. The Midas might is standing strong. The Midas might is standing strong. All right, well, guys, thank you very much. Before I go, I do have to go back over a few things and remind you of a few more things that we need to talk about before we leave. Don't forget, Wayne Stock will be at the Relics Variety Theater in Knoxville, Tennessee. It's happening Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. That's the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of February. It's $10 each night at the door, and tickets are available at the door. Now, me and the band is going to be playing our set at 8 p.m. on Saturday night, and we're looking so forward to that. For those of you that can't make it out to Knoxville, we're going to be going live right here on the YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see me and the band get out there and play live, and you'll get to see me rip up some lead guitar. I can't wait. I'll probably end up breaking some strings. I'll get to it so carried away. But also, I forgot to talk about this, and I called it right at the last second. Jesselyn Bowman is always my right hand. I mean, if I would be so screwed and so lost in this world, every day she sends me content to react to. Every day she reminds me of something I need to talk about. Every day she's working hard, putting the thumbnails together. All the thumbnails you see, that's her. So be sure to give her a shout out. We also just added a new design to the merch store. So go to YouTube here and click on the merch store, or you can just simply go to TennesseeBrando.com, and that's the merch store. And we've got a new design in there today. I will have merch on sale at Wayne Stock. It'll be there. We'll have shirts, koozies, and stickers there at the show. But for those of you that can't make it, the merch store's there, and you can get them there as well. So I think that's it. The Appy Awards. Yeah, me and Jess both made it into the finals of the Appies. I made it for Best Social Media Influencer. She made it for Best Graphics Design. And so we're going to go and walk that red carpet. In Prestonsburg, Blood Red, Kentucky, this old liberal, progressive, liberal redneck is going to walk that aisle. And, I don't know if the powers that be have watched my stuff and realized, oh, my God, we have invited, Hunter S. Thompson to the Baptist Church. I don't know. But it's going to be fun. I'm going to go and I'm going to, rub shoulders with a lot of good people. There's a whole lot of good, talented artists in all avenues of entertainment. I was so happy to see, because I shouted them out on the last show, I was so happy to see Cody Lee Meese make it on Best Guitar, and Donnie Bolin made it on Best Singer. So we're all in the finals. Jess Bowman for Graphics Design, me for Best Social Media Influencer. And so if you've ever, cracked up at a thumbnail and hit the video because of that, that was Jesselyn Bowman. And you can, I will share you guys some links to her pages so you can find more of her stuff. She has her online merch stuff too for all of you hippies out there that just really enjoys a good hippie vibe in a store. I will post you guys the link to that here on YouTube later. So yeah, we'll be there. I've been nominated. This is my 4th year in a row for Appies. But we will definitely, we'll see if the 4th time's the charm. I've made it into the finals a couple of times, been nominated 4 years straight. We'll see if this year we bring it home. Either way, we'll have a good time there. We'll have a good trip. And there is a great place in Prestonsburg, Kentucky called the Dairy Cheer. Little hole in the wall. They got this flat burger. It is the bomb. I'm going to stop there. I'm actually probably looking more forward to that than anything. They had some killer onion rings too, so I'll be going back to that. One of these nights we'll just sit here and have a whole conversation about all the great little hole in the walls and all the great burgers. But yeah, I think that's it. We talked about the Appies. We talked about Wayne Stock. We talked about the new design of the merch store. I really like it. I've got stickers ordered for that one that'll be available at Wayne Stock. And I'll share the link here on YouTube and all the social platforms so you can find it. But until next time, we will be back here February 3rd. It'll be 8 p.m. instead of 9. It's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern Time because that's when I do my set. We may come in a little bit early. We may start it just a few minutes early so that you guys catch it all. You know, I may start it. We may start at the end of the last person's set, or we may start during the crossover, and Jessalyn will be there to again. She'll be bouncing on social media. They're admins these days. Back in my days, it was bouncers. But anyway, she'll be there talking to you guys and letting me know what you had to say about it, and then we'll see how it goes. So until next time, I'm Tennessee Brando. Thank you guys so much for being here, and we'll see you February 3rd. Either way, we'll see you at Wayne Stock, because for those of you that live far away, we're going to bring it right into your living room. So you guys stay tuned and stay warm, stay safe, and stay well, and I'll see you next time.